when it comes to writing a book, take the time to slowly build that book, because following the writing, it goes to editing, and you'll be doing a lot more work with that process as well.
That was Jamie Ward sharing her advice to new authors. Stay tuned to hear more about Jamie's journey as a writer on Pages and Voices. I'm your host, Meg Bell. We'll be back after the intro. Welcome to Pages and Voices, the local author podcast, sponsored by the Allen County Public Library. This podcast is dedicated to featuring the works of talented authors within our community. Today's author guest is Jamie Ward, author of 100 Things to Do in Indiana Before You Die. Hoosier author Jamie Ward was born and raised in Indiana. Having lived in and traveled throughout the entire state gives her a special point of view. Jamie enjoys road tripping with her family, photography, being outdoors, and writing about travel and food on her blog, Cornfields in High Heels. You can follow her on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, and TikTok at Fields and Heels, or check out her latest publications and travel stories at fieldsandheels.com. Jamie, welcome to the podcast. I'm so pleased you could join us today.
Thank you for having me.
So I'm going to have you share a brief reading with us today, but before you do, I want to tell our listeners a little bit about the book. So Indiana offers life as fast as the Indy 500, as slow as watching bison on a prairie, and everything in between. 100 Things to Do in Indiana Before You Die will guide you to all the best spots in the state with itineraries, tips, and ideas for the whole family. Catch Hoops Hysteria at the Hoosier Gym, devour your way through the Indiana culinary trails, and challenge yourself to the trails at the Turkey Run State Park. Get your groove on at the largest music store, or take that much-needed break at the luxurious and historic French Lick Resort. Explore amazing agriculture with the entire family at Fair Oaks Farm. Taste the original tenderloin sandwich for yourself at Nick's Kitchen. Stroll through history at the Indiana State Museum and historic sites in preserved neighborhoods and main streets. Local author Jamie Ward shows you the Hoosier State as you've never seen it before. She guides you through all of the best places with tips only a native to Indiana would know. With this guidebook, Hoosiers will discover new adventures in their own state, and visitors will be equipped for an epic Indiana experience. Jamie, you're up.
Thank you. So I'm going to read the intro of the book because I feel like that sums it up pretty well. Welcome to Indiana. It's the place I've called home for the majority of my life. It took me a while to appreciate everything this state has to offer. Growing up, I believed you had to travel outside of the state to go on vacation or have an adventure. Like a lot of kids, I thought fun was only found in the States, with oceans, Disney World, or movie stars. Little did I realize that Indiana was filled with its own wonders, amusements, stars, hidden gems, and exciting activities. I've explored all corners of the state, yet I am constantly finding new things to do, eat, and explore. Narrowing down 100 things in Indiana was a challenge, and not a task I took lightly. This list gives fair coverage of all the Indiana iconic places, personal favorites, and hidden gems. It gives well-deserved recognition of things I believe everyone should do before they die. Of course, there are more things to do in Indiana that far exceed this list. You might discover something about Indiana you didn't know existed, or you might be challenged to try a new restaurant, such as fine dining or a rural small-town market. The city market in Indianapolis has hidden passageways, like the catacombs underneath its building. This list will take you through big cities and communities.
Thank you for sharing. So it took me forever to finish your book, simply because I was busy tagging pages and looking up the places I was reading about. This is the copy that you gave us. I don't want to give it up. I don't want to give it to the library. Also, what a fun job you have. I am more than a little envious. Travel is one of my favorite things to do. I love exploring and discovering new places. It's always been true since I was a young girl, and I wonder, has it always been true for you too?
It has, especially since I became a mom. So I became a mom in my 20s, and I was a single mom, actually, for most of my daughter's life. And whenever they had school, like breaks and summer vacation and all of that, I made an effort to try to do something, even if it was just a road trip 3 hours away. So I was always going and doing something with my daughters, and it was here in Indiana. I didn't get to do that a lot as a kid, and I traveled a lot to the other states, but didn't really ever explore my own state. So when I started doing that with my own kids, I thought there's so much more to do here than people know, even in your own backyard. And so that's what we did on every weekend and on summer breaks, fall, winter, spring breaks. We just started traveling and discovering our own state as well as the surrounding states.
Sure.
So I've always loved it. I went on my first major road trip after I graduated from college. My aunt took me on an East Coast road trip. I fell in love with it from there. Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. I love that. So in addition to really enjoying travel, have you always had the writing bug?
It's funny you ask that because I get asked that, and I never in all of my adult years ever thought I would be a writer. It was not on the horizon. It was not something I had planned to become. But when I was a child, I loved to write. I actually have all my journals from when I was about 7 until I was 18. And I really had a passion for it. So the bug was always there. I just didn't get to really know how much I'd be using it until here later in my life.
Oh, okay. Well, that is really interesting. So when did you decide I want to be a travel writer?
So I started a travel blog about 8 years ago as a hobby.
Okay.
Documenting the trips I would go on, the things I would do with my daughters, even solo trips, just everything that I did, and food destinations, because I write a lot about food destinations as well. And that hobby turned into an opportunity to travel with other travel writers and go on a fam trip, which is a familiarization trip of a destination, and then write about my experience there. And the hobby just kind of took off, and I started doing more traveling, more writing, and the blog kind of grew. And before I knew it, I was doing this more as a full-time career. So I was a social worker at the time, and I had a break in between. I moved from northern Indiana to central Indiana, and started really investing in my writing. And 2 years ago, I officially launched into full-time freelance writing.
Good for you.
Yeah.
So how did you get connected with those other travel writers that you started going on the fam trips with? That's a hard word to say.
I know. Yes. I think there's a good reason they call it just fam.
Yes.
So I was contacted actually by Midwest Travel Network. It's a network of travel writers throughout the Midwest states. And they invited me. They had seen my blog, saw that I was new and beginning, and invited me to come out on this fam trip. And I had no idea that a network like this existed, or that even you could travel, write about it, get paid, do this.
How fantastic.
Yeah, it's amazing. I know it's not for everybody. It's a lot more work than it looks like. I learned all the ins and outs, of travel writing and what it took to grow my content, my writing, before I was able to launch into full-time writing and then writing books. So I wrote my first book 4 years ago, and it's just I've been writing books
taken
since.
off, huh?
Yeah,
that's really cool. It sounds very organic.
Yes, it has been, which is they say that's the best way to grow, and so I'm going with it.
Yes. So what inspires you most about travel writing?
Being able to write the stories about the conversations I have with locals and the businesses, the business owners, the destinations I visit, their unique stories. These are stories you can't find on Google.
Right.
But you can read about them through, experiences like me or other travel writers.
So do you just get up to the bar and introduce yourself and start talking to locals, or?
Sometimes I'm not that outgoing. That's the fun part about writing, is you discover, you don't just get to sit at home and type. You have to do a lot of interacting too. And so it has happened most of the time very organically for me. I've gotten to meet people that I didn't even maybe know were popular or famous, and just by visiting places and being there at the same time, and then having these organic conversations just about where I am at and travel and what are you doing and why are you here and what should I go see and recommendations.
So you've met famous people in Indiana on local travels?
I have.
Can I ask?
Yes.
Who?
So I had an opportunity to go down to southern Indiana, and I was Kat Von D's has a black tulip farm or a field down there that is open to the public and you can visit. It's only for like 2 weeks though that the tulips are in bloom. And so it's in Vevay, Indiana, and she has actually moved from LA to Indiana. She resides here in Indiana now. Well, with that has brought other people from Hollywood, from LA and California, and
as
friends.
Happens.
Yeah, friends of hers. Even her best friend moved there and then opened a tavern restaurant there that has amazing food. It's called Roxy's. And while I was there visiting, I stopped and went and had something to eat there, had lunch. I was one of the only ones in there, but there were other people, a few other people there, just thought they were locals. Yeah. Struck up a conversation with them and ended up finding out they were not locals. They were actually, one was an actor from a popular show. I don't know if I should throw his name out there, but I don't know. He may want to be private, but
does he live down there?
No, he was in town visiting.
Just visiting.
Yeah,
okay, sure.
But I had no idea until after I left, and the lady working.
So you were talking to him the whole time, and you didn't know who he was.
I didn't know who he was. I didn't watch the show, so I
probably liked
familiar.
that. Honestly, it was
I think
refreshing.
I think that's why there's a lot of famous people just walking around Vevay, Indiana. And
they can get away with it.
They aren't no bodyguards or anything. You just think they're one of the locals, and they are one of the locals now, some of them who live down there. But
That's incredible.
Yeah. So fun stories.
Yeah, yes. Things that you wouldn't expect coming out of it that are coming out of it. That's really cool. So how do you approach researching a new destination before you visit? Do you do any background checking or like local history checking, fact checking, I guess?
Absolutely. So I'm a history nerd, so I definitely like to look up what I'm going to go see and what historical sites are where I'm going. So if I know where I'm going in advance, I always turn to my handy dandy travel bucket list spreadsheet, which has thousands and thousands of things on it. So every time I see something I want to do, hear about a destination, a recommendation, a place to go in each city, I have a list. So I will refer to that list, see if those are things I can make happen and go see. I always check out the Visitors Bureau website, and I sometimes talk with them and get their recommendations. And so I do a lot of research before going places.
Okay. So in terms of the book, did you have to leave any places out that you really wanted to include?
Yes. A lot of places. It was
maybe
very
a follow-up to the book, huh?
Yes. So it was really hard to narrow the 100 things down. So I made sure I covered the whole state. I wanted to be, give fair coverage of Indiana as a state.
That makes sense.
So since it's an Indiana book, so I put a lot of effort into taking my list of, 300 things and narrowing it down to personal favorites, a few iconic things to do, and then also making sure that there are some underdogs in there that I really wanted people to know about.
Highlight, yep.
Yeah, and so I had all these stories from writing the 100 Things to Do in Indiana book. And I recently wrote another book called Secret Indiana, A Guide to the Weird, Wonderful, and Obscure. It just recently was released, and a lot of my stories and a lot of the things to do got a place in that book.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
That's good. Makes sense.
Yeah.
So what was one place you had to include, like the place you were most excited about that you were like, it's absolutely being included in this book?
So Winking Acres
What is it called?
Oinking Acres.
As in oink oink pig?
Yes, as in it's a rescue sanctuary.
Oh.
Yes, for individuals, for pigs who have maybe been taken in as pets or whatnot, and then grew too big, and
Pigs
then
get large and they're
Yes.
cumbersome.
and were abandoned or turned, asked to be taken in or whatnot, a variety of reasons. Unfortunately, some abused and that kind of thing. And so the owner of Oinking Acres, her name's Olivia, and when she was 14 years old, she took in her first pig, and she launched Oinking Acres, this nonprofit.
At 14?
Before she was
How
a little bit older, but she was still a
very
teenager.
ambitious.
Yes,
Yes.
still a teenager. And you can go visit Oinking Acres.
I'm writing it down.
Yes, and take self-guided tours of the whole farm, interact with the pigs, feed them, pet them, bring them treats. And it's a really cool experience, especially if Olivia's there, which she is every day, and you get to hear from her and her story.
Do they have any potbelly pigs?
They do. They're a lot of them are potbelly pigs.
People get them from my grandpa had one when I was growing up and had it for a pet. They had all kinds of animals, ostriches and chickens. But so this potbelly pig had a nice long life at my grandparents' farm.
Yes.
That pig was great.
They're very personable too. They each have personalities.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't want one living in my house.
No.
I don't know why.
I think
that
a lot
became
of
thing.
people discover that after they get them when they're little, and they're like, oh, they don't stay little.
This pig is getting bigger and bigger.
Yes. And she also has taken in other farm animals too. So there are other farm animals there too at the rescue. It's just the majority of the animal residents are pigs.
So it's a bit of a petting zoo, maybe almost.
It is a little bit, of a petting zoo in a very organic Indiana farm, small town. It's in Hendricks County area, very rural, and just a really family run.
Yeah. Okay. So do you find it hard to balance capturing the essence of a place while also providing this practical information? I mean, you don't have a ton of space to write about the locations, so you find it difficult to keep that balance at all?
I do. So that's when I usually I turn it into a blog post. So I'll take all the extra information I have, especially for the things to do in the book. You're only given a page per thing to do, and so I've most of the things in the book I've taken then and turned into full blog posts that have a lot more information in them and more stories and that kind of thing,
sense.
and added them there so that readers can go and read more about them on my blog. Yeah.
So did you visit all 100 locations?
Every place, yes.
How long did it take you?
So I had a lot of these saved up, a lot of these stories and experiences saved up from travels. But then I spent 6 months doing research and writing it before it went to the publisher for editing and illustration and that kind of thing.
Okay. So did you discover any destinations that you absolutely are in love with now, besides Oinking Acres?
Yes. So it was, when I wrote this book, it was the first time I ever had visited French Lick. And they made the cover within the 100 numbers
I really want to
on the
go
cover.
there. Yes, I really want to go there.
It's really a cool place, and there's so many stories to tell and about the things there are to do in the resort and at the resort, and it's very historical as well.
Yes.
And so I was actually able to add that to the next book, too, of Secret Indiana, about a secret place. I'll give this away, but one of the things that you can do when you're visiting this 100 bucket list item is the resort. But while you're there, if you go to the West Baden Hotel at the resort and visit the library, within the library, if you open some of the books, you might find notes that guests and visitors have wrote and placed within the notes of the library, and they've been doing this for a few decades, and the staff does not get rid of the notes. So there's love letters, there's notes about their stay, there's replies. People have replied to the notes and stuffed them back in. And there's just a collection. So you can leave an anonymous or your, or not anonymous letter or just note or word of encouragement or a story, a love story. There's lots of love stories about people who met or had an anniversary trip or something at the resort.
I'd love to know more about the background of that. That's like a whole other...
I believe it was just started by a guest. And the staff never got rid of and then it just continued on and on. Most people don't know about it unless you visit and you're like, what are these letters? And there's nothing really to tell you why. There's no like a plaque or anything explaining it. So I kind of dove into that and asked, about why are there so many letters? And I'm like, oh, this is really cool. This is something people don't know about. It's kind of one of those hidden gems. So
absolutely. Okay, now I want to go even more.
Yes.
In your opinion, what is the most challenging aspect of travel writing?
Yeah, so the most challenging is to really find your niche, what you want to write about, and kind of sticking to that. For me, when I first began writing, I was writing about family and I was writing about food and travel, and
it can be overwhelming.
Yeah. And so trying to find what I really wanted to write about, that I was passionate about. And when I started writing about all of those topics, really it kept going back to travel. And I kept traveling. I kept continued traveling and then writing about it, regardless of what the outcome of it was. Whether I wrote for a blog or wrote for a publication or something, I just loved to do it. So it was really my passion. But I'd say niching down and like trying to find my place in the world of writing, and then also having the self-confidence to like do it.
Put it out there.
Put it out there. Yeah. Because for the longest time, I was like, I'm not a writer. I'm not like, I don't have a journalist degree. I didn't, I didn't have a career right out of college, doing anything with writing. But then to start building up that confidence and being like, wait a second, I've published a book and now I've published another book.
And people really seem to respond to what I have to say.
So. It's like, so just having the courage and the self-confidence to be able to move forward in that, I that was the hardest thing for me to build, from going from writing blogs to writing then a book.
Yeah. I can understand that. So is there a piece you're particularly proud of in the book?
The Oinking Acres definitely is one that, that I'm proud of. There are so many. It's hard to narrow down.
It's your baby.
It is my baby. A lot of people ask me a similar question, what is my favorite thing to do? And honestly, I just say, at the time of writing the book, it was the French Lick Resort. It still is a favorite. But my favorites and the things that I, have been really inspired about writing, it rotates. I rotate the things that really, stick out to me in the time, so that I don't actually have like an absolute favorite. Okay. And I can be fair to everybody.
Makes sense. I get it. There's some really nice glossy photos in here. Did you take all of those?
Yes. So all the photos in the book are my own photography that I've taken since I've been traveling about and collecting. I love taking photos. I am not a professional photographer, but I really have a passion for taking pictures.
Okay. Yeah, they're great. I love them. I love a glossy photo. And they're
Thank you.
Stuck right in the middle here. And when you open the book, folks, you turn to the Bottle Works Hotel. And what do you know? On page 80 is Interact with the Pigs at Oinking Acres Farm.
That's right. Yes.
If you pick the book up, just note that, page 80. You mentioned it took you 6 months to write the book?
Yes.
And how did you get in touch with Reedy Press, the publisher?
Yeah, so that's a great question. A lot of people ask, how to get started and how. For me, I feel really blessed that I had the opportunity to talk to the publisher.
Yeah.
I had an opportunity to come up where the publisher for this series, they do several different travel series, adventure series, kind of things with all the states, did a presentation about what they do to a group of the Midwest Travel Network writers, like a Zoom.
Oh, sure.
And kind of introduced themselves and who they were, and gave the opportunity that if anybody was interested in an opportunity to write one of these series, that they could reach out to them. So from there, I formed just a connection with the publisher and started the conversation. Would I be a good fit for this? Would this be something I'd be comfortable writing about? And they chose the title for me. They said, hey, we think you would be a really good fit for the Indiana series, because they do have 100 Things City series. There's a 100 Things to Do in Fort Wayne Before You Die in Indianapolis. But then only one person gets to write the state one, right? So it's a little bit of a bigger project to take on. And they asked, since I did a lot of travel throughout the state,
Okay.
if I wanted, the opportunity to write the state
And
one.
you were like, no, I don't think so. I'll pass. Right? Why would you do that? No.
wanted to say that, and I thought, I'll give it a try. At that point, I had co-authored actually 2 other books with other travel writers. I had wrote the Indiana chapters in those books. They're also about travel. And I thought, well, I'll give it a try. This is going to be something new.
Yeah.
So I did it, and it happened.
That's
and
awesome.
so I was like, wow, it's a process to become published. I learned all the ins and outs of that. I learned the do's and don'ts and what make things easier and what things to avoid. And it really helped me decide, if I wanted to write another book or not.
Yeah. And it must have gone okay because you did write another book, as you mentioned earlier.
I had a positive experience with this publisher. I had previously worked with another publisher for the co-authored book series. And it was a bit of a different experience. It wasn't the same. This experience writing books with Reedy Press was definitely a positive. And just the relationship I built with them and the editing process and all of that, I was very involved in it all and being able to have a say.
That's nice.
And so it went very smoothly. And I really feel like it was an exception to some story. Some things I hear are a bit harder, but I feel like it went really pretty smooth, and I enjoyed it. And it was just a good
sounds
publishing.
Ideal.
Yeah.
Very ideal. So did they allow you to have input on the cover?
So all of the covers for this series all are kind of the same format, but I did have I was able to give them ideas for what would be ideal for the cover. And then their team, the illustrating team, took what I gave them to see what would best be formatted for the cover and for the book, and then used from my photos.
Okay.
That.
So did the bucket is for a bucket list, I assume?
It is.
Was that you?
Yes. No. So that is the part of the series.
Okay.
The actual,
So you see the bucket on the whole.
You'll see the bucket on all the books that are within this series.
Sort of a visual cue.
Yes. So the colors of the book are different per book. The picture within the 100 on the book, and then obviously like the name, the state name, or the city of the book.
Was there anything that surprised you as a result of writing these books?
Yes. That writing a book, writing it is only 50% of it. The other 50% is promoting it and doing book signings and doing events and doing presentations even. And I was not much of a public speaker.
It could be a little daunting, right?
Yes. So realizing that it's not just, hey, I get to write the book and send it off and that's it. I did my part.
Right.
That is just the beginning of writing a book. And so that there's the other half to it of letting people making sure people know about your book and doing all the events for promoting it that lead up and after it's published. Yeah.
Which is what you're doing now, is you're doing some publicity for the book.
Yes. Okay. And I don't feel like that really ever stops for once you're an author.
Sure.
It's just a continuous, so that's been a learning experience as well.
Yeah, I can see that. So what advice would you give someone working on their first book?
So take your time. There is usually a rush if you have a deadline. For me, I started writing, took a little bit of a break because I thought, I've still got 4 more months before my deadline to turn it into the editor. I've got a chance to take a month off. But really, you want to keep on.
You shouldn't do that.
Because you might be last minute. I mean, for some people, luckily for me, the pressure, some of my best work comes under pressure.
Yes, some people do work well that way.
Some people do work well that way. But I, as much as sometimes that's thrilling for me to do and to come up with things, and I feel like my creative juices are just way more activated when I'm under the pressure of a deadline. When it comes to writing a book, definitely take the time to slowly build that book, because following the writing, it goes to editing, and you'll be doing a lot more work with that process as well. So you want to make sure you take your time.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to pivot the conversation just a little bit and ask some fun get-to-know-you questions.
Sure.
What is your favorite place to visit on your time off? And this does not have to be in the state of Indiana. It can be anywhere. But if it's in the state of Indiana, that's okay, too.
That's all right. I love answering this question because, honestly, my favorite thing to do when I'm looking for just even an afternoon is I go to the local state parks. I take my portable hammock and I read. Yeah.
Oh, that's fantastic.
It's amazing. I take some snacks and my favorite drink and some water, and I can lounge in the hammock. I go to, so I am near Lake Summit State Park is where I live, near Lake Summit State Park.
Okay.
So I'll go there and set up my hammock in front of the lake and could literally just lounge there with my book, some good weather, and chill. So that's why if I have time off and I want some good self-care and to do something maybe not even that far, but honestly, you can do that at any park or scenic area.
I don't know why I've never thought of that.
Yeah, I love it. I keep a hammock in a fold-up portable one in my car at all times.
Do people comment to you as they walk by and see you out there?
Honestly, I see other people doing it, and that's how I got inspired to do it. So a lot of the times when I go out, there's usually somebody else, other people
doing the same
maybe
thing.
In another area of the park or whatnot, doing the same thing. And so I think everybody's picking up on it.
How smart.
So some of the state parks have actually started installing the poles so that you can set up your
just bring
hammock.
Your hammock.
Yeah. So you don't have to hunt for the right trees and whatnot and in close proximity of each other.
I am just astounded by this. I'm going to start looking for a hammock and some poles.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. You don't even need poles if they allow you to use the trees there.
Okay.
And if you get one of the portable ones, Yeah.
Next
great.
up for Meg. So what is your number one travel destination? What is the number one travel destination on your bucket list? And have you been able to go there?
That would be Spain and Turkey, and I have not been able to get there. Those are would be traveling internationally, which does take a longer chunk of time, and I've not had the opportunity to do that yet. And so those are my big picture destinations that I'd like to visit.
Okay. All right. If you could spend the day with another popular author, who would you pick?
Oh my goodness. So this question is is hard to answer because I have several in mind. I would say one of my favorite authors right now, and she's a nonfiction writer, is Liza TerKeurst, because I love all of her self-help books, and she's just very inspirational.
She's popular.
And so, very popular and inspirational.
Her name is very hard to pronounce.
I know. For the longest time, I'm like, is it Lisa? Is it Liza? And I've heard people say it both ways, but it's Lisa, isn't it, or Liza?
I'd have to look it up.
I know.
I just assumed it was the way I thought it was.
Yeah, so people have said it both ways.
It's like Sarah Maas. Everybody calls her Sarah Moss.
Yes.
But then if you hear her say her name, she calls herself Sarah Maas. So, I didn't know I was even saying that one wrong until I heard her say it, is my point.
It's one of those names. Yeah.
Okay.
And so I think that, and I've heard some of her speaking event. I've heard her on podcasts and whatnot that before, and I just think she'd be fun.
Yeah.
And inspiring. I'd feel good hanging out with her.
Right. You'd leave there ready to do good things.
Yes.
All the good things. So did you celebrate when you finished this book?
I did. With traveling more.
Oh,
I did.
nice.
Absolutely. That's what when I want to celebrate, I'll go somewhere for a weekend or something.
Do you go by yourself or do you?
Usually. Yeah. So I'm an empty nester now. My girls are in college now. And so I have embraced solo female travel and love it. I love it.
Makes me a little nervous still when I think about it.
Yes.
It's brave.
It's, and I hear that a lot and I never used to do, solo travel, but since I've started doing it, I absolutely love it. It's really empowering and fun, and you get to choose your own schedule and eat what you want and do what you want.
Go back to the hotel and take a nap when you want. All of
absolutely.
Those things. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So what's next, Jamie? Any more books on the horizon?
Potentially. I don't have any in the works. I'm going to take a little bit of time off now that another book has come out. I like to take a little break. So I have big travel plans. Next week I leave for a 3-week road trip. So I'm going to do that and write all about heading out west. So I'm going to write about that, do some heavy traveling. So I have heavy traveling plans before I start on another new writing adventure.
Are we allowed to know where you're going out west?
Absolutely, yeah. So I'll be in South Dakota, Wyoming, Colorado, and Nebraska.
Are you going to some state parks?
I am. I'll be going to the Badlands. I'll be going I guess those are national parks. I'll see Mount Rushmore. I've never been.
I haven't either.
To that area before, so I'm definitely, and then Rocky Mountain State Park, I'll be going down in Colorado.
I have been there. That's incredible.
Yes.
All right. Well, Jamie, thank you for joining us on Pages and Voices today. It's been a lot of fun to chat with you and get to know you better.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you to those who listened in. Stay tuned for more authors on Pages and Voices. I'm your host, Meg Bell. Until next time. Thank you for joining us on Pages and Voices, a source for local authors and their stories. From the studios of Access Fort Wayne at the Allen County Public Library in downtown Fort Wayne, Indiana, I'm your host, Meg Bell. A special thank you to Kay Gregg for her work engineering and editing this episode. We've explored fascinating stories and insightful discussions today, but our journey doesn't end here. Find more episodes of Pages and Voices wherever you listen to podcasts. If you enjoyed this podcast, please show your support by liking, subscribing, and sharing it with your friends and family. Stay tuned for more inspiring conversations with the area's authors and their insights into the written word. Until next time, keep turning the pages, and we look forward to welcoming you back soon.